Shalom, brothers and sisters. Shalom, brothers and sisters. Not going to be long. Just want to make a video regarding the matter of the name that we say we are and can lay claim to, giving honor and praise to the Creator and the Maker of heaven and earth, the Most High. This is the word here, Yisrael. Now, for those who say Hebrew has no vowels, they will say this is Yashara'Allah or Yashu. Ra'al or Yasharal. You see it different ways said by those who say Hebrew has no vowels. And this is no disrespect intended, nonetheless, but is a vowel. It's a sound. What a vowel is in actuality is a written sound. So if you were to say this is Yashara Allah, you're still saying vowels with it, just saying it as Ah. Alright, so we just want to point that out. Now, next thing to point out with this, brothers and sisters, when we're seeing Israel, this is the Yod, the Kirik, the Sin, the Shawar, the Resh with the Kwamat, and the Lamed with the Zareh. Now, let's look at this very carefully. This Yod that you see right here, right, making a Y sound, alright, serves as a prefix. So if you were to just say this here, the Sin and the Resh, right? It comes from the root word Sarah. The word Sarah in Hebrew means to contend. Alright? So we want to point that out for reference purposes. So now this Yod serves as the third person, the third person masculine, singular, future tense. Why do we want to point out, brothers and sisters, the aspect of it saying in future tense is this? Because this word here, El, right? It comes from the root word ayil. The word ayil, brothers and sisters, means to have power or to be mighty or to have strength. So that's something we want to point out in that particular regard. So what are we saying, brothers and sisters, in this particular case? Is this Yod, all right, serving as a prefix, showing the future tense of this root word here, meaning as stated to contend. And this one here, El, translated loosely by saying God, speaking of the Creator. Yisrael would mean, brothers and sisters, El, the Creator, will contend. That's what that means in that particular case. So many times brothers and sisters would say that Yisrael means Prince of the Power. In spirituality, perhaps. But if you want to talk about the aspect of literal meaning, or if you want to talk about the aspect of linguistics, as opposed to just spiritual aspect of why Jacob was given that name, this is what we want to point out in that particular case. Now, as stated, this is not going to be long. Just wanted to point this out for reason and purposes and so forth and so on. All right. We want to emphasize, as been pointed out in other videos, that Yisrael is not from Isis, Ra, and El. That's something that was purported by Masons and people of that kind of nature to try to throw people off from the truth of what it is. You understand? It is not from Isis, Ra, and El. Isis is not even an Egyptian god or goddess. That's a whole nother subject. We're not going to get too far into that particular aspect. And brothers and sisters, El, we want to talk about a little bit, if we will. All right? Let's look at that. Many times people say that El was a Canaanite deity and then say that the Israelites adopted it. Saying El, brothers and sisters, is no different than saying the quote-unquote loose term in English, God. You understand? So if somebody said God in 1604 and then somebody said God in 2004, one did not borrow it. We have to just know and understand, brothers and sisters, what the speaker or author is talking and conveying. All right? So as pointed out, this word here, El, comes from the root word, all right, Ayil, which means to be mighty or to have strength. In Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, verse 32, you read La'el Yadeka, meaning speaking about power in your hand. All right, now, brothers and sisters, in the scriptures, before Ham came into existence, Ham is the father of Canaan, right? You had a person named Mahalalel, all right? And you have the word El in that man's name. So that's something we want to point out in that particular regard. You have Mahalalel, Mahalalel, all right? That's in the book of Genesis, all right? That was even before brothers and sisters, Ham even came into existence, much less Canaan. So El, identifying power, mighty, so forth and so on, was already known among the people even before the Hamite dispensation came into the earth. All right, so we just want to point that out for reason and purposes. With that, shalom.
Shalom, brothers and sisters, shalom. giving honor and praise unto the Most High, the one who sees all and is not seen, the one who judges all and is not judged. If I can be heard well, please, and if you're in good spirits, please press the number 4. If I can be heard well and you are in good spirits, please press the number 4. I am going to have to ask anybody in the chat, thank you for joining on. We know it's an unusual time of the week, and we also know it's an unusual time of the day in that particular case. But we wanted to thank you, my brother Bergen, typing in the number 4. And also helping and assisting regarding the moderating of this. What you just heard, brothers and sisters, was a brother named Zamir, and he was singing in Hebrew, Psalms chapter 82, for those who are familiar with it. All righty. In this particular presentation, which is not going to be long, we do not intend, brothers and sisters. It is now 11 minutes into the presentation. We wanted to play some music a little bit here and there, but we don't intend, brothers and sisters, for this whole matter to be any longer than 40 minutes. Not that we're rushing, but brothers and sisters, let us get into this kind of matter, and hopefully everybody is well and in good spirits. We want to, brothers and sisters, in this particular matter in what we call Danite Publications. This is something that started this year being 2026. We started this essentially in 2014, all right, on the channel More Yeshaya Torah Lessons, which we are live on now, brothers and sisters, and has gone from there into other matters such as More Yeshaya Hebrew Lessons, More Yeshaya History Lessons, and so forth and so on. I am open, brothers and sisters, to constructive criticism. My telephone number is inside of the description, but I will say it here as well. 908-587-4841. That again, brothers and sisters, is 908-587-4841. All right. Thank you for that, family. I'm going to take the time out now and put the number in 908-587-4841. Now, with that number there, I can be reached by text message, WhatsApp, and so forth. All right. So, without any further ado, let us, brothers and sisters, pull up the PowerPoint and go from there. Thank you for that, family. All right. There are people celebrating, getting their celebrations on throughout different places for different reasons. One of the reasons is because, from what I'm understanding, the Knicks won the championship finals, and it's been, say, 20-something years since they have been in that position to win. And so a lot of people are happy about that. Personally, and this is me personally, I have nothing personally against sports. But I tried to call myself playing basketball, and it just didn't work out for a brother. All right. So, but for those who got the time, the patience, the tenacity to go in there, much respect to those brothers who can. Somebody wrote in the that language is Yiddish, Jewish, not Hebrew. Have you clarified that? And I don't know. All right. Well, let me say this in due respect. Thank you for joining on in this particular case. Let's take, and I say this in no disrespect, if I can be heard well, in this particular matter. That language is Yiddish/Jewish, not Hebrew. Yiddish is not a language. We have to first, let's understand the distinction between a language and a dialect. Now, that's one thing. The thumbnail in this is the Aramaic alphabet that I showed that you commonly see as Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Dalet, so forth and so on. Have you clarified that? And I don't know. There is a video that when you go on Mordeh Yeshaya Hebrew Lessons, that is done that is called the Hebrew we teach is not Yiddish. So on that particular channel, if you're on that channel called Mordeh Yeshaya Hebrew Lessons, there is a video in which a brother did speak upon the clarity between that. Now, I say this in due respect, looking at the name Shamar. To my knowledge, Shamar means to guard, to watch, to keep, or to observe. See? Now, how would you say that in Yiddish? How would you take, if I'm got your name correct, Shamar, and I'm going about it from the Hebraic mindset that I have? It means to guard, to watch, en route to observe. Am I correct or am I incorrect in regarding the meaning of the name that I see there in that particular case? Bro, that ain't Aramaic. No disrespect. You're not understanding what a brother was saying. I can see. I said in the thumbnail that I put, it's the Aramaic phonetics, the alphabet of such. Let me give you an example. All right. Take this here, A-B-A. Now, in Hebrew, A-B-A means Abba. But when we look at what we just wrote right here, right, this distinctly says ABA in English letters. The phonetics of what was written is English lettering. That goes back to essentially the Latin, which goes back to the Phoenician alphabet if we go into the matter of linguistics. Now, what I'm saying, looking at an example such as this, ABA in Hebrew now, if somebody speaking Hebrew would hear the word Abba, they would think father, regardless of whatever is written in linguistics. Some languages are still to this day in 2026 still not written in. So people learn, especially when you're dealing with children, from hearing before they learn, in many cases beyond the matter of 5, 6, 7 years old, the sight of the phonetics. The phonetics say in English being A, B, C, so forth and so on, right? Most people learn how to speak from what they hear and how to communicate from what they hear. Those are things that as a child grows up, male or female, those things develop as the brain matures and so on, even before they know how to distinguish one from the other, if I'm making any sense in that. All right. I saw the script, which was Yiddish, not Aramaic, but that's the thing. There's no such thing as a Yiddish matter. That's the point of trying to make. Let me give you an example, right? And let me pull this up if I may. Thank you for that comment, my friend, right? Let's look at this here. Doom, doom, doom. All right, this is part of the presentation here, if it can be seen, right? And I see it cannot. So let me go back here. The brother wrote, I'm figure brother. But let me know, was I even correct in the translation of what I thought Shamar meant? Because in my mind, dealing with Hebrew, Shamar means to guard, to watch, to keep, or to observe. In root, am I correct in your name? Let me know. You wrote, I saw the script, which was Yiddish, not Arabic. That's incorrect. I understand the aspect of English transliteration. All righty. But all languages can be transliterated, even in the Bible. There's no mother or father that named their child Nebuchadnezzar. Nebuchadnezzar is how you say it in Akkadian. You understand? And so when we look at things like Xerxes or Artaxerxes, that is the Hebraic way of saying it. Yesterday on Moreh Malkiel Uriel, or should I say the week before, we spoke about Joseph in the Bible in Genesis. His given Egyptian name is what? Zephanath Paneah. That is the Hebraic way of saying the Egyptian Ziptanat Epinanku. So now let's say if I were to write Ziptanat Epinanku inside the English letters, that doesn't mean that it's still not Egyptian because of the phonetics that one uses. There is, again, no Yiddish matter in that. All right. And that's why if you were to go in your own time, the whole matter of the Hebrew we teach is not Yiddish. It's on the platform Mordeh Yeshaya Hebrew Lessons. All right. Let me pull that up on the YouTube thing. Thank you for that. In that particular case, and we're going to go there. YouTube, the Hebrew We teach More Yeshaya. Let me pull this up. Here we go. This is it here. I'm going to put this into there. Thank you for that. Alrighty. But here is the link that I was talking about in that particular case. Alrighty. We call this one here, the Hebrew we speak is not Yiddish. It is about an hour, a little close to an hour, but you can copy and paste. And in that video, I get in and speak upon that particular matter there. All right. And here it is written out. The Hebrew we speak is not Yiddish. All right. That is what the name of that video is there. There is actuality no language called Yiddish. It's a dialect with a mixture of different things of German and Russian and so on. Let me give an example. The Hebrew word for mother is ima. Ima means mother. But in Yiddish, the way to say mother is mutar. So let me write this out here, right? Mutar, even written in English letters, is how you say mother inside of Yiddish. Even if you were to put it in Hebraic phonetics, the mem, the tau, and the resh, and so on. You understand? But it's not a Hebrew word just because it may even be written inside of Hebrew letters. It may not be an English word, even though it's written inside of English letters. All right? So that's something to point out in that particular case. But yes, when you get the chance, because we're going to go on with the presentation, because not to be funny, this presentation was supposed to be done last week. My bad. My fault. And we want to, on Dan Publications, catch up in the lessons that we intend to do. There's about 4 history ones. A brother just dropped a Hebrew book. The link is inside the description for those interested, and so forth and so on. All right. So what we're going to do is continue to move on. All right, fam. So thank you for that. And let's pull this up and let us get into this. If it can be seen, let me know. Okay, let me go to stop screen. The time right now is 5:53. I'm in the East Coast. And wanting to, normally on weekends, I'm with immediate and extended family, but not this time. So I want to use the day, the morning, essentially to catch up, not rushing, but get certain lessons done. All right. So let's go into this particular matter right here. All righty. And slideshow, the plural of Elohim. Shalom, giving honor to the Most High. Welcome to Danite Publications. We in this presentation will speak on the matter of the plural usage of Elohim. This will involve Hebrew grammar and understanding. We can be reached at 908-587-4841. Again, asking you, as you see across the screen, to go into the matter of the description to see the links where the books are and so forth. Personally, I rather a brother or sister use the link to get the books as opposed to promoting my Cash App and so forth and so on. But if you care to donate, you can as well. Thank you for that, family. Let's continue. Genesis chapter 1, verse 1. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. Now let's look at this, family, and screenshots welcome. All right. Laser pointer. Let's remember Hebrews read from right to left. But Reshit bara Elohim et Shemayim wa et haaretz. So let's look at this right here, brothers and sisters, right? We have the highlighter. And we see there with the yellow, bara. The word bara, which is considered a lamed aleph verb because it ends with the letter aleph. All right. That is explained in the book you can get on Amazon called Hebrew is Easy, Volume 3. All right. So let's look. Reshit in the beginning. Reshit means beginning. You see that in the book of Genesis chapter 10 as well, when it said about the beginning of the kingdom with Nimrod. Also in Isaiah 46, letting the book speak for itself. When we read there and it says declaring the end from the beginning. All right. Bara, he created. And who is he? Elohim. Now remember, seeing the name of the presentation, the plural of Elohim. Why do we want to go there? It's because you have brothers and sisters who are saying that Elohim means gods, Gods, and not one God. But now when you understand Hebrew, knowing that the verb and the noun, knowing that the adjective and the noun must agree in number, that is to say the amount, as well as in gender. That's very important. So that's why when we went this earlier, it said this will involve Hebrew grammar. We cannot, and I have used concordances, lexicon, if you will. Strong's Concordance is not a Hebrew dictionary. That is not the best source to sit and try to ascertain. And looking, and I say this in no disrespect because I don't want to disrespect self nor anybody else. In the book that I wrote, in the book that I wrote, Deuteronomy 28, 15 to 68, the condition of the blacks, I used the Strong's Concordance, 8669, so forth and so on. But at the same token, a brother is saying that that is not a dictionary. It's a source to look up something. Then once you find where the Hebraic wording is at, then you may want to use a dictionary and so forth and so on. All right. But let's look at this right here. Bereshit bara Elohim. If it says, brothers and sisters, the word bara, right? And we're going to go back to the laser pointer. If it says bara, that means he created. That is third person, masculine singular. That's when we get into grammar. So it's not they created. It's not the plural uses of it. You understand? Bereshit bara Elohim. Et, the word et meaning definite article, something that is set in, not just a heavens, but the heavens. Wet haaretz, and the earth. What do we know as humans in the scriptures being a book for humans, besides the heavens, which is above us, and the earth, which is beneath the earth? And we're told in Exodus, and waters that are underneath the earth. So that's what that is with that in that particular case. All right, Genesis chapter 1, verse 1, in that manner. The main point one wanted to make in bringing this part out is to show about the matter of Elohim, translated as God, brothers and sisters, God created. And when you're dealing with biblical Hebrew, you will find, as in the word bara, which means to create, a verb, precedes, brothers and sisters, the noun or the pronoun. That's why you will find, for instance, why Yishlach David. And David he sent. The word shalach itself, preceding the word David meaning transliterated as David. All right, the word shalach itself means to send. So just want to point that out in that case. So it's not more than one God created the heavens and the earth. All right. So now in Genesis chapter 5, it says, this is the book of the generations of Adam. In the day God created man. In the likeness of God made he him. Now in the Hebrew, we see this. Ze sefer toldot Adam. But Yom baro Elohim Adam. Beat mut Elohim asa oto. Now, let's look at this here. And thank you for my brother Bergen Paris putting in where we're reading at. Now, let's look, if we will, Elohim, we see right here as well, brothers and sisters, where we have the laser pointer. Now, the word next to Elohim in this particular case is the word asa. Asa means to do or to make. So now, this being a third person masculine past tense, all Hebrew verbs have a root that goes back to the third person masculine. All right, regardless of what stem, the qual stem, the nephal stem, etc. Right? We have the word asa, to do or to make. Hence, we see the word made. We see there. All right, made, M-A-D-E, is the past tense, brothers and sisters, of make. Now, asa oto. Oto means him. The literal meaning of asa means he made. Or in English, to make it make sense, it says made he. So now let's look. This is the book of the generations of Adam. In the day that God created man, what do we want to point out? The Yom, in the day of, in a time of, Bro Elohim, Bro, creation of, Elohim, Elohim, in the creation of man, Beat Mut, in the image of Elohim. Adam, you will find out, identifies both male and female. Adam means human or mankind, kind as in species, if you will. So these are things, brothers and sisters, that we can bring out for reference purposes. All right. Now let's look again and let me know about the sound quality, brothers and sisters. Thank you for that. All right. Bro Elohim, Adam, in the creation or in the creation of, as just stated. I double talked to myself. Sorry about that, but not contradictory. All right. Elohim, Adam, God in making man, God in creating man, make sense in English, be mut, in the image of, the mut from the word dama, brothers and sisters, and this is not to get sidetracked. The word dama, brothers and sisters, is a verb meaning to resemble. Now it's interesting. The word dam, the dalet and the mem, in Hebrew mean blood. You understand? Like the blood that's in your body. So dama meaning to resemble. Could that linguistically be connected? Who knows? All right. So again, the main point in going over this part in Genesis chapter 5, you get the verb asa. Brothers and sisters, we have Elohim, Baro. It's not more than one God creating males and females. Let's continue. Deuteronomy chapter 4. For acts now of the days past, which were before thee, since the day that God created man upon the earth, and from the one end of the heaven unto the other, whether there have been any such thing as this great thing is, or has been heard like it. Now, what are we reading here in Deuteronomy 4? And let's get to it. Thank you for typing that in, Brother Paris. And let's see what we can ascertain. Ki sha'alna liyamim rishonim asher hayu lefanecha lemin hayom asher bara Elohim Adam al haaretz ul mikzei hashemayim wa'at kozei hashemayim ha'nihyah dabar hagadol hazeh o hanishma kamohu. So what are we reading here, and what do we want to point out is this: since the day that God created man upon the earth. What are we reading here? Asa bara Elohim asher. Sorry, we didn't say the word asa. Please, let's not say that. Asa is not there with that laser pointer. Sorry about that. Asher, which bara created Elohim. God, he created Adam. God created man, all ha'aretz. We see that right here in Deuteronomy, namely Deuteronomy 4, chapter 20, Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 32. What does it say in English? God created man upon the earth. The Hebrew says, bara Elohim, God, he created Adam, man al-ha'aretz. See, this is why we were talking about earlier every matters of grammar. The verb Elohim, Adam, man. And we already know that Adam is identified as both the male and the female. Because even if you look at the Hebrew word for ground, like the ground that you walk on, is the word Adamah. And from the Adamah, man, Adam was taken. And from his Zaleh, translated loosely as his rib or his side, female was made. So Adam identifies both genders in that particular case. Now, the two genders in Hebraic thought is the word zakar, meaning male, M-A-L-E, and the hueba. You understand? Meaning female. But what do we want to point out, brothers and sisters? Us as humans are not made by different gods. Because many times you will find people say, oh, the plural of Elohim, the plural of Elohim. Elohim is plural. But when we get into the Hebrew, which we want to point out, you happen to have it in agreement with gender and number grammatically. And you're not finding, correct me if I'm wrong, where you can say that the verb bara is said to be baru, third person masculine plural. It is third person masculine singular. So just because we see Elohim, brothers and sisters, you will have people that may say, oh, well, it says Elohim, so it must be more than one. That's been a common statement. But when we go through Genesis and when we go through Deuteronomy, the Torah is not endorsing that concept as if the creator is more than one God. So these are things we care to bring out for reference purposes. Let's continue. 1 Kings chapter 18. And when all the people saw it, they fell on their faces and they said, the Lord, he is God. The Lord, he is God. Now, when we read here in 1 Kings 18, it is talking about what happened between the prophet Elijah and the people that were dealing with their idols, right? Now, what does it say, brothers and sisters, in this? Vayarkal ha'am, vayifu al peneihem, vayomru yodewahehu ha'elohim, yodewahehu ha'elohim. Why do we want to point this out in the book of Kings, brothers and sisters, is this. It says, and when the people saw it, Vayar, that's coming, brothers and sisters, from the word Ra'ah. Ra'ah in Hebrew means to see. All right? All the people. Vayiflu, and they fell. This word Vayiflu, where you see the laser pointer, it comes from the root word nafal. The word nafal is treated as a paid noun verb, brothers and sisters. And again, when you go online on Amazon, you can get the book Hebrew is Easy Volume 3. When you look on the top right corner, you see Hebrew is Easy inside the icon on the top right. But in Hebrew is Easy Volume 3 is where you see the other matters such as the pay noon, the pay aleph, etc. verbs. All right. So now let's get back to this. The word flew means and they fell. Now fall means to fall. Al penehim, on their faces. Wayomru, and they said, Yodewahe, who Elohim. What are they saying? Yodewahe is the Most High. Who? Meaning he or he is. Not him, meaning they, plural, is who, meaning he is, the singular. All right? Ha Elohim. They're saying that the Most High is the Elohim. Now, let's understand something about im using as a suffix in Hebrew. It shows the matter of it being magnified, uplifted, praised. There is almost no difference between saying El Rab, El Gadol, great God, and Elohim. We have to first understand that polytheism is not part of the culture of Israel. Once we can first understand that part, a lot of things may become a lot more clear. Then when we look and we see, right, Yod-Heh-Wah-Heh, the Most High, who he is, Ha-Elohim. Yod-Heh-Wah-Heh, who? Ha-Elohim. The people, when they saw what they saw, they had no question about that at that particular point. And I say this in no disrespect. Any concept or any teaching that is insinuating or suggesting that the Most High Yah said as Elohim means that there's more than one God or a pantheon of gods or an avatar of gods is incorrect. The concept of saying that the Most High is more than one God, brothers and sisters, is what caused Israel in part to fall. When you read about the concepts that Jeroboam, the king after Solomon, had been king, and you putting up idols and saying these be your gods of Israel, which brought you out of the land of Egypt. Some people have tried to not justify Jeroboam, but clarify his said mind. Well, you will have to understand in the mind of Jeroboam that the great bull, the great calf that was being made, was saying that it was strong. But it says, you should not make unto the any graven image. You should not bow down to them. Well, to Abim, and you shall not serve them. So you cannot human make your God when we as humans are already made by the Most High God. That's disrespect when you get right down into it. So these things, brothers and sisters, are things to point out for reference purposes. All right. Again, the number is 908-587-4841. All righty. So let's continue, family. From reading to speaking Hebrew tutorial classes. Care to learn Hebrew from a Hebrew. This is a flyer. Brothers and sisters, look no further. Mordeh Yeshaya Israel with over, with other 20 years experience in teaching Hebrew and over 5 self-published Hebrew books and over 200 copies sold. Learn Hebrew from a concerned and dedicated brother. Learn how to identify noun, which is a person, place, a thing, a verb, which is an action word, singular and plural, that's to say one thing or more than one thing of each, and the aspect of masculine and feminine, principles in Hebrew. Learn how to read the language for yourself and how to build a strong vocabulary by using your commonly used words. What am I saying by your commonly used words? If you are a painter, learn the colors. Edom is red, Laban is white, Shakor is black, Warod is pink, and so forth and so on. Argaman is purple, Kakol is blue. You understand? Learn those words first if you're a painter, because that's going to impress upon you more and quicker, because that's the kind of work that you do. You understand? Shalom, Ra, 868 to Ra. All right, peace to you as well. All right. If I can be heard well, anybody, and you in good spirits, please press the number 4. We are on the platforms, Mordeh Yeshaya Hebrew Lessons, Mordeh Yeshaya Torah Lessons, and the Facebook profile, Yeshaya Hadani. So now in my flyer that I had made some time ago, in this, it says, brothers and sisters, you will be taught how to identify the aleph, bet, characters, and vowels, identify noun, verb, and an adjective, use proper Hebrew grammar and the aspect of masculine and feminine. The classes are for individual basis and are free of charge. One is expected to purchase, however. Hebrew is Easy Volume 1 online in order to follow with the class. By the end of 3 months of diligent classes, you will go from knowing how to read to speak Hebrew, our language. All right. So for those who are interested, you can reach out to me at 908-587-4841. Again, 908-587-4841. I don't mean to sound tacky, and I don't mean to sound disrespectful. I must get this updated because the classes are not free. It is $20 per hour per person, and that could be paid through Cash App, or that could be paid through Zelle, or that could be paid through PayPal, or that could be paid through Venmo. All right. So in that particular case, I feel that $20 an hour per person is standard and not bad. All right, for those who are interested. So again, I can be reached at the number that's in the description and also there at 908-587-4841. Thank you for that, family. Now let's continue, brothers and sisters, in this. The Lord is God and have given us light. Order the festival procession with bowls, even unto the horns of the altar. Now, right here we see in the English, it says the Lord is God. The Hebrew says El, meaning God, Yod-Heh-Wah-Heh. Yod-Heh-Wah-Heh, El. God is the Lord is God. So even in Hebraic thought, it was not a concept, you understand, between saying Lord and God when you get right down into it. Now, the Lord we're talking about is the ultimate one, Yod-Heh-Wah-Heh, the Most High. He was, he will be. We're not talking, say, Adon Melech Shaul, that David called King Saul. Adon meaning Lord upon the earth, meaning a mighty one. But when we're saying and dealing with the English translation of the word Lord, in many cases in the Bible, certainly in the Old Testament, as it's called, you're going to find it as Yod-Heh-Wah-Heh. Somebody wrote, is there a difference between biblical grammar and modern grammar, and whose grammar is the modern? Yes. Biblical Hebrew grammar, thank you for asking that question. I don't know your gender, so I'm going to say brother or sister. Biblical grammar, we spoke earlier in this presentation in a video that I'm going to looking at the comments. Is there a difference between biblical grammar and modern grammar, and whose grammar is the modern? If we go back here, it says the Hebrew we speak is not Yiddish. On the platform More Yeshaya Hebrew Lessons, that is a video. All right. We're going to pull this up again, and I'm going to put looking at it in this case here, in this one right here. Thank you for that question. If we go back here, if I put the link here, I already typed in the what's it named on YouTube. But now if we go all the way here, if you were to copy and paste that, you would get to the video that says the Hebrew we speak is not Yiddish. And that question is addressed in that particular case between biblical grammar and modern Hebrew grammar. The only distinction is certain like vocabulary words that are used. Let me give an example. Hatobata, are you good? That will be biblical grammar. And quote unquote modern Hebrew grammar, you will find it by saying ha gomerata, like are you complete? Also asking basically the same thing. So it's certain vocabulary words that are distinguished between that two. So hopefully that answered the question. I'm going to go when I'm completed with this, do all of the comments and so forth to stay on track with the presentation in this particular matter. All right. So thank you for that. I'll pull this up. Can it be seen again? All righty. Looks like so in this particular case. All right. Now, and getting back into this about the plural uses of Elohim, we know that though it ends in the understanding of Eem, doesn't automatically make it plural all the time. And that's with certain words, you understand, such as Elohim. It's talking about the magnificence of the Most High, not saying that there's a God for the thunder and a God for the rain and a God for the snow, not in Hebraic thought. All right. So just want to put that out there. Now, right here, Psalm 118, brothers and sisters, as we get into this, it says El Yod-Heh-Wah-Heh, the Lord is God. Now, when we read right here in the book of Kings, it says Yod-Heh-Wah-Heh, Hu Ha-Elohim. The Most High, he is the God. Now, Genesis chapter 1. And God said, let there be a firmament in the midst of waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters. What is the point in going over this? It says in Hebrew, Vayomer Elohim. and God he said, not and God they said. It's not plural. It says Yahi Raquia, but Hamayim. Yahi, let there be Raquia, a firmament, from the root word Raqua, which means to spread abroad. All right. The verb Resh Kuf Ayin is considered a Lamed Ayin verb, which in Hebrew books they will always tell you is what they call Lamed guttural. We'll explain that in another lesson. All right. But nonetheless, the word Raquia, translated as firmament, comes from the word Raqua, brothers and sisters, which means to have an expanse or something spread. All right. But Tokamayim, in the midst of the waters. Why he my deal and let it divide. My deal from the Hebrew word adel, which means to divide. All right. Bain Mayim Lamayim. But it's the point in going over that. Plural matters. Everything that's mentioned waters is plural in the English on the left side. Waters, waters, waters. But we see in the Hebrew Mayim. The word Mayim means water, W-A-T-E-R, and it also means waters. So in Hebraic thought, because like Elohim, it doesn't automatically make it plural. So the Hebrew word again for water is mayim, and the Hebrew word from waters, plural, is mayim. But you don't say this part of the ocean is one water and this part of the other ocean next to it is part of that when it's all connected. So the magnificence, the grandeur, the greatness of waters is why it's translated as water and waters from the Hebrew word, same word, mind you, mayim. So now when we read Elohim, like mayim, is talking about the magnificence and the grandeur and the greatness, not per se saying there's more than one water or there's more on a deeper level than one God that created the heavens and the earth. So that is something that we care to bring out for reference purposes. Exodus chapter 20, let the book speak. And God spoke all these words, saying, the Hebrew says, why that bear Elohim, and God, he spoke. And God spoke all these words, saying, now let's take our time, brothers and sisters, and go, if we will, to Exodus 20, right? And we're going to look this up as we close out, brothers and sisters. This here, if it can be seen, yes. We're going to go to Exodus chapter 20, and let's see what it says. Waidaber Elohim et kol hadbarim ha'ele lemor. And God, he spoke all these words, saying. No, it's not. There's no such thing as using made-up grammar. The Hebrew that we teach on this platform, as pointed out in the video, looking at the comment section, is not made-up grammar in that particular case. So let's go back here, and it says this: I am the Lord thy God. Now the Hebrew we read, Anoki Yodewahe Eloheka. What do we want to point out in Exodus 20 is that Elohim said that he is Yod-Heh-Waw-Heh. Elohim spoke in Exodus 20. In introducing Elohim, he said, Anoki, I or I am. Anoki Yod-Heh-Waw-Heh Eloheka. I am he who was, he who will be, Eloheka, your God. So now in Hebraic thoughts, not made up grammar, we have it to where the Most High Elohim is saying that he is Yod-Heh-Waw-Heh. Now taking that and going back into what is written in the book of Kings, and it says, Yod-Heh-Waw-Heh, Hu Elohim, let us not, Israel, think that there is a pantheon or an avatar group of gods that created the heavens and the earth, and that there's one for snow and one for rain and so forth and so on. So that's why Hebraic grammar and understanding, and we said scriptures cited. We went to the book of Kings, we went to the book of Exodus, we went to the book of Deuteronomy to sit there and emphasize the point that we care to make. All right. So Thank you for that. Looking back at this. Now, going into all of the comments, thank you for that, because the presentation with that part is completed. Shabbat Shalom, that was from yesterday. Yeah, see, this presentation was supposed to have been done. But and I say this in no disrespect, we're going to focus upon the platform because of something that happened that let me know I have to pay attention more to it. But let's get back. We have the word shalom. We have the word shalom. We have our brother Berg in Paris. Thank you for your help with that. We have here, thank you for advertising that. In that manner, thank you again for assisting. Yes, please comment, like, and share. The reason why you find YouTube creators be on it like, oh, please comment, please like. The more likes one gets, brothers and sisters, the more YouTube will share the video. Because that means if someone likes it, it means they're watching it, which means YouTube is getting views too. That's why you will find that particular matter there. All right. Visit the website, daynightpublications.com. Thank you for typing in the number 4. That's my number, 908-587-4841. Thank you for that. The language is Yiddish, Jewish, not Hebrew. We already went over that and putting the link up that speaks upon it. Have you clarified that? And I don't know. I did in a video that that was posted inside of this. Bruh, that ain't Aramaic, no disrespect. Now let's explain this. Aramaic, when I was saying, is this. If you write the English letters ABA, right? That's English. In Hebrew thought, somebody hearing Abba, they're going to think father. Unless they're thinking the word forgive, because the word Abba also can mean to forgive or pardon. But that Abba is spelled with the letter A at the end. A-B-A in English spells Abba. Now, if you spell Abba in Hebrew, you would have it to where it's A or Aleph Bet, Aleph Bet Aleph. Now, if you put it in verb form, Aleph Bet Hey, you get the word forgive. Now, let's look at this as in the word salak as well, but that's another matter with vocabulary. Writing something in English letters doesn't make it an English word. So that's something we care to bring out for reference purposes, right? And I'll use the example ABA. In that case, I saw the script, which was Yiddish. There's no such thing as Yiddish script. We went over that. If I were to, again, say bruder bruder is Yiddish for brother. But the Hebrew word for brother is ak. So if somebody is speaking Yiddish and you said ak or akim, they're not going to think brother if they're speaking Yiddish, because the Yiddish word for brother is bruder. The Yiddish word for mother is mutar. The Hebrew word for mother is ima. So even if you were to use, regardless of whatever phonetics, you can write those things in German alphabet to make it sound like a Hebraic word, or even inside of ancient Kemetic or Egyptian to make it sound like a Hebrew word. It does not make it an Egyptian or a German word. That is something you want to point out in regards with that. That's why I use the example of ABA in that case. I believe, and it says, yes, sir, about Shamar. In Hebrew, it's spelled with the Hebrew letters Shin Mem Resh, meaning to guard, to watch, to keep, or to observe. All right. That is where phonetics comes from. King Solomon understood the rules of the palate. And then we go on here. That's where we were speaking about the video. The Hebrew we speak is not Yiddish. Some years ago, the Hebrew we speak, that's the name of the video. If you type in the Hebrew we speak is not Yiddish under the channel More Yeshaya Hebrew lessons, you'll see like a red background, and in that video, it's close to an hour presentation. You'll begin to sit there and see that. I apologize. I said that we don't intend to go over 40 minutes. We're now about to go past an hour in this one right here. Sorry about that, family. So we have the Hebrew we speak is not Yiddish. The phonetic alphabet comes from the time as Phoenician. Phonetics is from Phoenician. King Solomon simplifying the real Hebrew, which no one knows. All right. We have mutar, which is written in this case in English lettering, though it's not an English word. Then we have here, same thing. I respect you, sir, because you obviously study very much. Then we go on here, my brother Bergen Paris putting up the website. Thank you for that. Our friend wrote, I understand what you're saying. You're talking about a form of Aramaic, aka ancient Hebrew, which is close, but no one knows ancient Hebrew phonetics is a close rep. Then we have the brother Bergen Paris citing where the scriptures is at in Genesis 1:1. Thank you for that. Shamar, my name means Black King Solomon. Have a good day and thank you for challenging thought. And then we see here, what about the collective singular? I'm going to have to ask what do you mean about the collective singular in that particular case. Thank you for that. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Echad is one. Yakad is unit. What is the collective singular? If you can let me know what you're speaking of in that manner. Thank you for that. Then we see here Deuteronomy 4. Thank you for citing that. Then we have 1 Kings 18. Then we have here comments and questions. Yes, that's the email, yyisrael22@yahoo.com. Thank you for that. And our friend wrote peace. Same to you, peace. Bergen Paris, thank you for your help with that. Psalm 118, as we're going over. Is there a difference between biblical grammar and modern grammar, and whose grammar is the modern? All righty. Biblical Hebrew began to cease to be prominently spoken during what they call the medieval times. It doesn't mean it didn't exist. It just wasn't spoken very, very much. Now, let me say this. If, for instance, the Hebrew word for mother, as you see in Ezekiel, is aim. When people start to talk about what is, quote, modern Hebrew, would be ima, also meaning mother. Same person, same language, Hebrew, but because it sounds different, they would say, or it would be said, oh, this is more modernized. In the book, Hebrew is Easy, Volume 2, I spoke upon that, showing the different styles of writing Hebrew over the course of centuries, from the Sinaitic inscription all the way down to the, quote, said modern or block Hebrew form that we see today. All right. So thank you for that question. Then it goes there. Thank you, Genesis 1. Then we got Exodus 20. Why do you use the made-up grammar? I'm going to need you to explain what is made-up grammar. Thank you when you get the chance. All right, if you like the video, thumbs, thank you. We have our friend, Beit Zadok Boquetob, More Boquetob Laka, Ak. Boquetob, we are saying good morning to each other. All right, the word God means Jesus and Jehovah came in the Father's name. There's two in the Godhead, and two in the Godhead, not one or three. Revelation 1 prove there is no Trinity. Well, to be quite candid, Deuteronomy shows that there's no Trinity. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Shema Israel, Yah Elohim, Yah Echad. And as pointed out, one of the problems of ancient Israel was trying to make the Most High more than one. You see, when you're dealing with idols, be it made in the form of a human, like Isaiah 44 talks about, according to the beauty of a man to dwell in a house, or the time that Jeroboam made those golden calves and said, these be your gods that brought you up out of the land of Egypt, O house of Israel. What is going on is you are trying to make God while we were already made by the Most High. That's a problem. But let's look at all the idols. The only things they can make are things that they've already seen. You've seen a bull, you've seen a cow, you've seen a calf, you've seen a goat, the Baphomet thing with the goat head in a human body. We've already seen goats in human bodies. So every type of idol that exists are things that we've already seen. They take the wood, form it into an idol, and bow down to it. Whereas once it comes to the Most High God, we know that he makes things that we have not seen in the heavens and above, the earth beneath, or the waters underneath the earth. So let's understand why we might say Elohim, the magnificence of one. There are animals that exist that people say we have not yet to see. Every idol, every statue, every false god that is made by humans are things that are already seen and formulated. Be it a masekot from the maseka that I pointed out in my book, From Assyria to America, Part 2, where the Danites in Africa actually worship idols, which is not a good thing. You understand? That is a distinction. The Most High God makes humans. Humans are not false. So when you make false gods, that is made by a human trying to make God or a God, as opposed to the Most High God making a human, because a human is not a false human. But every God made by humans are false gods. So that's what we want to point out with that. Now, the word God means Jesus and Jehovah comes in the Father's name. Now, I have brothers and sisters who are friends of mine that are what you will call messianic. And on the platform, More Yeshaya Torah Lessons, a brother doesn't, not to sound harsh or disrespectful, cut no bones. This is a Old Testament Torah-based platform. Let me ask this, as somebody who was, you're speaking upon something in Revelation and within the said New Testament. John in the New Testament is older than Jesus. He's the son, if I'm not mistaken, of Zacharias and Elizabeth. And if I'm not to be mistaken, Jesus and John are cousins, one being younger than the other. In the New Testament, in Luke chapter 1, it says that the parents of John were righteous before God, but this is before the birth of Jesus. How in the New Testament is people, or are people called righteous before Jesus' existence, if he's the way, the truth, and the light, and no man goes to the Father but by him? How are people in the said same New Testament deemed to be righteous and blameless before God, before his birth? That's the question. That's in Luke chapter 1. In Luke chapter 1, let's pull it up. And I don't mean no disrespect or anything of that sort, right? Luke 1 KJV. Now, if this can be seen, let me know. It says, there was in the days of Herod, the king of Judea. Now, Herod, we know, is of the house of Esau, right? It says, a certain priest named Zacharias of the course of Abia, and his wife was of the daughters of Aaron, and her name was Elizabeth. And they were both righteous before God, walking in the commandments and ordinances of the Lord, blameless. And they had no children, because Elizabeth was barren, and they both were now well stricken in years. Now, this here is before the birth of Jesus. How were they, Zechariah and Elizabeth, righteous and blameless, walking in the ordinances of the Lord? Who is the Lord that they was walking in ordinances of? That is the question I have. Now, the reason why, and again, I say this not to offend or anything say of that sort, is if they were deemed to be righteous, that means righteousness had to have already existed. See, we don't get into issues of 3 and 1 gods and Trinity discussions until we get past the canonized version of the KJV or the King James Bible going into Matthew. We don't get that until we get into the canonized version of the Catholic Church Bible going past the book of either 2nd or 4th Maccabees going into Matthew. My point is, going into the New Testament is when these kind of questions about 3 and 1 gods come into place. See, when the timing of Elijah, which we read of in 1 Kings 18, it said, if Yah be God, then follow him. But if Baal be God, then follow him. And it said the people could not answer him a word. But let's see what answers come from the matter of the whole Trinity concept that some people do and or do not promote. All right. So, all righty, we went over that. This says you people have to stop following the Roman Catholic Church. Okay, we don't follow the Roman Catholic Church, but if you can let us know, open to constructive criticism, please let us know. All right, and let us know to be funny when you say you people. Yeah, I need to know what you mean by you people. Where'd that come from? You people. Let's move on, man. All right. Says IOG churches, Pastor Henry Bowie teaches the real truth. Which I know of Pastor Bowie. I believe he's an elder from out of Chicago, if I remember right, with clear understanding of scriptures, and according to scriptures, God will speak to this people with a stammering lip and another tongue, not Hebrew. When it says a stammering lip and another tongue and not Hebrew, the portion that you're talking about in Isaiah doesn't say not Hebrew. When it says, for he will speak to this people and stammering lips in another tongue, the portion that says that in Isaiah chapter 29, chapter 28, chapter 30, in that vicinity is not talking and saying not Hebrew. The children of Israel, certainly by the time of Maccabees, were already sadly gearing off from the Hebrew in that particular matter and case. All right. So wanted to point that out. But yes, I've heard of Pastor Bowie. If we're talking about IOG, Israel of God churches, which I think is primarily located in the central United States, because I remember building with a brother from there and from Pastor Bowie's place. And if I remember right, that was based in Chicago. But let's continue. So you have 2 gods. No, we don't have 2 gods. And then no, we don't. Yeshli eta sefer hakadash. All right. Now the brother is writing, I have the new book. If you're talking about the book about male and female relationships in the Hebrew or any other book, I appreciate the support. Thank you for that, my friend. And then Bergen Paris wrote, we are the original testament. And then Luke 1, and then we see it's mostly convert Babel. All righty. So, brothers and sisters, wanted to go and take out the timing to go through the comments and so forth and so on. So we hope, we pray that everybody is well. All right. And I wanted to look through the comments. It says you show excellent patience and poise, given all the ignorance in the comments. I want to say, and I say this in no disrespect, and I know brother Beit Zadok that you support the channel and the platform. I will not try to shame family. And by family, I mean immediate family. Years ago, and it's hit me, my blood relatives, biological family members, looked at Spartacus. Can I be heard? I need a number 4 from somebody for what we're about to talk about. If I can be heard well and people in good spirits, please type in the number 4 in this particular case. All right. Thank you for that, Beit Zadok. There were relatives that saw Spartacus on TV and said, Mommy, look at Jesus. I couldn't believe my ears. When I was that child's age, and again, I don't say this to shame family. When I was that age as a child, and my mother, I speak about my mom ever so often. She's been deceased now over 20 years. May she rest in peace. I remember we were in Bergen. We was in Vanderveer. not to get too personal. Yes, we were in front page Vanderveer. You know what I'm talking about, brother. You understand? All right. Take the 2 train to Newkirk. Hey, sidebar. You know they done renamed in spirit and in part Newkirk Avenue, Little Haiti. Don't sit there and tell me we don't have impressions. I sat there and went out to Brooklyn not too long ago and saw Little Haiti Station by where I used to live, which is called Newkirk Train Station. I'm like, oh my gosh, they actually put that on the train's platform. Hey, the 2 train and the 5 train, that's what I need. Anyway. Yes, they did. Getting back to the point, we were living out there. This is in the 1980s. And I remember asking, may she rest in peace, my mother, Mommy, do we pray to the angels too? Like we read about Angel Gabriel and Michael in the Bible. And my mother looked at me and she said, no, we only pray to the Most High. Now, there were other relatives years later to give a time frame after my mother passed. And they said to their mother, and I say this not to shame biological family or anybody else, seeing white men portrayed the ancestors, the Romans, Spartacus and so, and said, Mommy, look at Jesus. And the mother of the children of the relatives had to say, oh, no, that's not Jesus. See, in Israel, no disrespect, understanding Torah, we don't get that kind of questions from children or statements from children. Parents don't have to go that far with that. You understand? And here's how we know. And again, I don't say this to shame family. You understand? I'll be the first one to say I wasn't the best son, not to look for sympathy. I was not the best father. So I'm not here, you understand, to try to make myself, oh no, let's not do that. We're not doing that. Pride and arrogancy in the evil way, in the forward mouth do I hate. That's in the Old Testament. That's in Proverbs 8. So now let's look at it, Deuteronomy chapter 4, and let's see why, in understanding the culture of Israel, why certain things just won't be. All right, let's look and see what it says. On Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 9, only take heed to yourself and keep thy soul diligently, lest thou forget the things which thine eyes have seen, and lest they depart from thy heart all the days of thy life. But teach them to thy sons and thy sons' sons. So you don't have it to where the children are going to be asking, looking at Shem children, Ham children, Japheth children, and saying that's supposed to be as they thinking something from the heavens as an angel. When the relatives said, Mommy, look at Jesus, when they was talking about Spartacus, they was thinking in their mind of one to worship. But now in the culture of Israel, the things that you have seen and lay it to thy heart, teach it to your children and your grandchildren. And this is why I don't understand why some parents, I have not been the best parent, but I don't understand why some parents had it to where, oh, don't speak unless you're spoken to. How are the children supposed to operate like that and learn? That means you got to talk to them. We need to, as parents and children, open that up and be more open to learn how your child thinks, so you know what and how to teach him or her, and be attentive to the child. So that way they can sit there and want to be comfortable to even approach. Especially the day that thou stoodest before the Lord thy God in Horeb, when the Lord said unto me, gather me the people together, and I will make them to hear my words, that they may learn to fear me, respect me, all the days that they shall live upon the earth, and that they may teach their children. Do we see your sons in verse 9 and your children in verse 10? It doesn't start and stop with you. You got to continue the legacy. And ye came near and stood under the mountain, and the mountain burned with fire unto the midst of heaven, with darkness, clouds, and thick darkness. And Yah spoke unto you out of the midst of the fire. You heard the voice of the words, but saw no similitude. Only you heard a voice. And he declared unto you his covenant, which he commanded you to perform, even 10 commandments. And he wrote them upon 2 tables of stone. I have not studied psychology to the point, brothers and sisters, of being a psychiatrist or so. But Israelite men who teach we cannot keep the Sabbath are wicked. What are you saying when you get right down into it? Is this: work every day non-stop. These Knicks that we talking about winning in New York, for New York while they was playing in Texas, those guys got rest. You need rest. For the game to end at 94 and 90, they didn't do that not getting any rest. Now, for those who like sports, I think we know where we're going. How are you as an Israelite man? How are you as a said black man telling other Israelites there's no Sabbath? You can't rest. What you're saying is go to work for Master every day. You're no different than the way Louis Gossett Jr. was playing against LeVar Burton or Fiddler against Kunta in the movie Roots. Got him up and working, boss. Any Israelite that says do not have a day of rest from working, you are working for the people, no different in Roots. Got him up and working, boss. How do you tell another Israelite, how do you tell another black man or woman, you don't need no rest, just keep on working? When your body break down from lack of rest, you start forgetting things with the lack of rest. Don't worry, you can drink Red Bull. Red Bull ain't healthy. And then when they want to sit there and tell you about your high sugar content from all of this stuff, we sit there and deal with children who were pumped up with a bunch of Kool-Aid and all of that. And I know from experience. You understand? You need that Shabbat. Shabbat meaning to discontinue. Talking about the Knicks winning in basketball. When you dribble the ball and then you stop dribbling and then you dribble again, that's called dis or discontinue. Brother Bergen Paris. I remember when that happened to me, the moderator, Brother Bergen Paris, when I was by 269 by Nostrand area. And they was like, he dissed. I was about maybe, I would say 9, maybe 8, 9. I want to say 9 years old. And we was playing basketball, not on the Shabbat. And they kept on saying, he dissed. And I'm like, I didn't diss nobody. I'm like, I'm not saying I was a coward, but I'm 9. These guys are like 13, 14. So, and I'm going to speak my truth. I'm like, I didn't diss nobody. It's like, nah, shorty, that's not what we meant. You discontinue, meaning that you got to keep dribbling the ball or shoot it. Shoot your shot. And so I called myself trying to shoot the ball up and missed. But anyway, my point getting back into this, brothers and sisters, is that's what Shabbat does. It discontinues you from the dribble and the games and the problems and having to sit there and having to feel you got to defend yourself. Like I had to feel. I didn't diss nobody. I'm thinking they're trying to say I'm insulting somebody. I'm like, no. It's like, it's not what that means. And that goes to show you and know you're getting good understanding. Then I found out what calls were in basketball. I found out what walking was, carrying was, goaltending was. I was like, I didn't even know all that exists. It's like, yeah, there's rules to this, man. Again, I'm 9. These brothers are like 13, 14. That was putting me on to that. So I'm saying, family, and it was peace that day. I'm saying all of that to say, family, is this. Using different examples to get to a point is this. You got to have that patience. Our brother wrote in about excellent patience and poise. And I'm not trying to say I'm smarter or definitely I'm not saying I'm holier than anyone else. But we have to meet people where they are and say that particular case. When you're presenting something online and it's to the entire world, you never know who's listening. I've seen videos where it shows me 4 people watching, and then 2 hours later, there's over 60 views. I don't know who the 4 people are. I don't know who the extra 50 something people are after that. And this is why it's very, very important in dealing with people to have that patience. I have, as stated, I went all the way around, but the point, getting back to what, and I want to land back on what my brother Beit Zadok stated. I have family members that saw a person, a white dude, not that everything is about race, playing Spartacus, and they're thinking Jesus. Those relatives are thinking about something or someone to bow down and say, thank you for dying for me. I have relatives, and it's, again, not to shame family. You got the ham. You got to have the ham. They still looking to eat pork. I cannot eat out of your pot. I cannot deal with the spoons that you have. Not because I'm better than you, but because I eat differently than you. Deuteronomy lets us know it's not because of Israel's righteousness, it's because of these people's wickedness that they removed. Now, let's look and read this, continue in Deuteronomy. It says in verse 11, Deuteronomy 4, verse 11, and you came near and stood under the mountain, and the mountain burned with fire unto the midst of heaven, with darkness cloud and thick darkness. And Yah spoke unto you out of the midst of the fire. You heard the voice of words, but saw no similitude. Only you heard a voice. And he declared unto you his covenant, which he commanded you to perform, even 10 commandments. And he wrote them upon 2 tables of stone. And Yah commanded me at that time to teach you statutes and judgments, that ye might do them in the land, whether you go over to possess it. Take ye therefore good heed unto yourselves, for you saw no manner of similitude on the day that the Lord Yah spoke unto you in Horeb out of the midst of the fire. Now, mind you, Horeb and Sinai is the same. Lest ye corrupt yourselves and make you a graven image, the similitude of any figure, the likeness of male or female, the likeness of Amun-Re or Sekhmet, the likeness of male or female, the likeness of Jesus or Mary, the likeness of male or female, the likeness of any beast that is on the earth, the likeness of Baphomet or anything on the earth, the likeness of any winged fowl that flieth in the air, the likeness of Baal-Zebub or anything else, the likeness of anything that creepeth upon the ground, the likeness of any fish that is in the waters beneath the earth, the likeness of any Dagon god that is in the midst of the earth. And at least thou lift up thine eyes unto heaven, and when thou seest the sun and the moon and the stars, even all the hosts of heaven, shouldest thou be driven to worship them and serve them, which Yah Elohim, the Lord thy God, have divided unto all the nations under the whole heaven. But Yah have taken you and brought you forth out of the iron furnace, even out of Egypt, to be unto him a people of inheritance as ye are this day. So, brothers and sisters, what is the point in part in going over that? In Deuteronomy, the likeness of any winged fowl that flies in the heaven, the likeness of any sea creature you see in the sea. Do you know that the Pope's hat, that big thing that the Pope wear, goes back to the ancient Philistines, Dagon god? What is the difference between Dagon in the time that you read of in Samson and the Dagon people in Central Africa? Where did those Philistines go? Brothers and sisters, did they bring their gods with them? So these are things, brothers and sisters, that we care to bring out. The likeness of anything in the heaven above, the earth beneath, or the waters underneath the earth. So we don't have to ask about a Trinity. We don't have to ask about, oh, well, this one and that one, and the Godhead, and no, the Lord our God is one. That's it. It prevents a lot of questioning. And this is why you teach this to your children, brothers and sisters. If we don't know nothing else, we know that the Most High is one. We are his people, and we are to return back to he who created all things, not anything that was created. So this presentation and giving honor to the Most High, the creator, the maker of heaven and earth, we're going to conclude out. We're going to read the comments here. Thank you for that. Oh, yeah. Little hit, as in little HT, sorry, as in Haiti. Then we see here, yes. Then we see here Deuteronomy 4, Deuteronomy 9. Our friend Beit Zadok wrote the word truth in Hebrew, which is the word emet. How do you disobey the longest and most informative commandment? And then we see here Deuteronomy 4, verse 11. I would like to think, and it's not that, I can't say that. Let me not say I would like to think, but it's a kind of an arrogant thing to make your own God and then bow down to it. Now I'm going to, God made me in his image, and I'm going to sit there. I won't make something because you don't know what image means. I'm going to sit there and I'm going to make me something. You put in more work on yourself that's needed. You understand? The things that affect us as humans, has a cure. Not just treatment, but a cure. Let me give an example. Years ago, I read about calendula lotion. And it's good when you have cuts on your skin. And it worked. Calendula lotion. It works. It's made by the Most High. When you are dealing in statues and idols, and it breaks, and it has a cut, because it doesn't even have any skin, what do? You take polish to try to match its color. Meanwhile, the Most High already made all colors. See, in the book of Hosea, it says that the Most High gave Israel gold and victuals, which they used to sit there and make into other gods. So the things that we are blessed with, we got to make sure we do the right thing with it. See, this is not to be preachy. We as men, we as people, we can't come to the Most High and not to be sexist. Like the ungrateful woman who takes and then be like, I ain't asked you for it. I didn't ask you. You know what that say? Correct me if I'm wrong, they say that in Judaism, that it is essentially the creator's fault, correct me if I'm wrong, about what they say, that it essentially is the creator's fault that ancient Israel worshiped the golden calf, because if they didn't have all the gold that was there, they could have never made it. So that's saying that you can't be blessed with something, have something, and not know the right thing to do with it. You're that much of a dingbat. And I say that just to be as harsh as I can be while keeping the language clean. Not to be redundant, but again, to make idols, to sit there and do stuff like that is a waste of your own time. It doesn't make any kind of sense. People sell those things for currency. And then in selling those things for currency, they got to use that to sit there and pay something else, say, with it. Why do we in Israel don't deal with necromancy or soothsaying or divination? Several reasons. Respect the elders when they're here. Don't wait for the elders to pass and then say, we're going to, go together and we're going to raise up the dead and we need answers. No, we don't do that in the house of Israel. We, as it says there in Deuteronomy, teach your children and your children's children. So when you leave the scene, speaking in general, hopefully none of us no time soon, when we leave from being on this plane, in part, your children won't feel they got to, quote, bother you by going over there and doing libations and raising up and conjuring the dead. In the scriptures, when that happened, Samuel told Saul, tomorrow, you and your sons be with me. The first thing that was stated was, Lama ragas tani. Why have thou deceived? Why have you aroused me? In so many words, bother me. Saul went to the witch of Endor And when you read the Josephus account of the same story, it said that when Simra was being risen up, it said he told the witch, he's lying to you. That's really Saul. So in the Hebrew, she said, Lama rimatani ki ata Shaul. Why did you deceive me? Because you're Saul. Well, just raise me up Samuel because, I got to sit there and try to get some answers. See, Saul didn't respect his elder, Shemuel. So now that the elders are gone, you want to sit there and bother them. You didn't respect them when they was there, but then you're bothering them now that they're gone. That is against the order of operations. It says you wear out the door of the wise man. You don't sit there and make Samuel feel bad. You don't sit there and make the person who want to look out for your best interest hesitant to approach you. Teach a wise man and he will increase in learning. But you got to first try it in that case. So we don't want to have that spirit of Saul. And if we have any respect for Saul, you wouldn't sit there and want that either. You will want to learn from that particular person's error and mistake. You'll know what I mean. And say that particular matter and so forth. Again, in closing out, when you're presenting yourself online and you hoping and praying that it is acceptable by the Most High, you don't know what energy is out there in this YouTube land. 60 people watching the video, less than 10 people liking, and not playing businessman, less than 6 people sometimes in a week buying a book. Comes with the territory. What are you doing it for? Bring this out to the people. The Most High will bring the people to you if it's for so. And when the Creator shows you, this is the path on which you to go, don't rebel against it and say that particular matter. So family, we're going to play some music and close out. Thank you for that, brothers and sisters.
Zinali Andi Ovega Andi Omed Pole Fulega Kaase Andi Magi Me Age Ase Raele Kael Oa Zadi Devorka Kakma Toraka Ye Kakangu Roselimo Shemorakai Weko Mispati Azi Home Azepiro Kavashalom
Shalom, shalom. Giving honor to the creator of heaven and earth. Want to go over this, not going to be long. Want to go over verb and noun. Let us look at this, brothers and sisters. We have the word here, hora or hore. Now, in this particular case, we're dealing with it as a verb. All right? Hore, in this case, in the Hefel stem, which in root means to teach. Okay. All right. So, here we have this word here, more. The word more means teacher. So what do we see so far? The verb and then the noun, with the prefix of it with the mem there. This is a male teacher. Then we have this word here, and we can say it also as hore. Now in this case, we're not dealing with it as a verb, but as a noun. This means parent, a male parent. Now we have this word here, okay, and we have it as mora. The word mora, meaning teacher, a female teacher. All right. Then we have here the word hora. Okay. Hora, meaning female parent. So what do we see so far? Hore in root, meaning to teach, the verb. More, a teacher, a male one that is. Hore, in this case treated as a noun, the male parent. Then we have mora, meaning female teacher, or a teacher that's a female. Then we have hora, a parent that's a female. And we have here the word Torah, generally said as law, but the word Torah really means teaching or instruction. For instance, when you read in the book of Proverbs, and it says, forsake not the teaching of thy mother, all right? Al tishkat Torah imeka, forsake not the teaching of thy mother. So we just want to point that out. So we have a teacher, a male parent, a female teacher, a female parent. So what do we get out of this? The teachers are parents, and most definitely the parents are teachers. And what are they supposed to teach? The instruction. So just want to show how the Hebrew works in this particular case. All right, you can see that the O and the R sound is still there. The O and the R sound is still there. You may have a change with the mem or the tau, or in root with the hey, but the general premise of the sound is still there. Unlike English, when teaching and instruction, those words do not sound alike. Whereas teacher and parent in English does not sound alike in roots, all right, linguistically. So just want to point that out. Hebrew is easy. Get the book on Amazon. Shalom.